Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Stay Creative York County. My name is Sarah and in today's video I am going to be trying something I haven't tried before, and that is macrame. I was inspired by this book that's in our collection, Make It Modern Macrame by Mia Boyle. You see this feather or leaf shape on the front? This is what I'm going to be making. It's a very beginner-friendly macrame project. Doesn't take a lot of materials and only uses a basic knot. So, Mia suggests that for this craft, we have a couple of items. I'm going to put the list on the screen, but I have a few right here. So, of course, the first thing you're going to need is some macrame cord. This is a 3mm single ply macrame cord. I got this from Michael's. I got it in this mustard yellow color. You're also going to need a piece of felt that will accommodate the size of feather or leaf that you are making. This will be the backing of your creation. To bring these two together, you are going to need a fabric glue. I went for something that has a permanent bond, but anything that is a fabric glue will work. Just make sure you read the instructions about drying time, curing time, and if you're using a permanent bond one like this that comes in a metal tube, be careful of it. Make sure you read the directions, you take safety precautions, and use it in a well-ventilated area. And remember, it is a metal tube, so when you squeeze this, it's going to hold its shape. You're of course going to need some scissors. This will be to cut lengths of the macrame cord and to cut your felt backing. To measure the lengths of cord, you may want a ruler or measuring tape. Also, when we create our feather or our leaf, to create this look right here with all the individual strands, you will need a brush and possibly a comb. This will allow you to break up the fibers in this macrame cord here until they unravel and create the texture for our feather. If there's anything that's missing, it'll be listed on the screen. But without further ado, let's get into creating. In Mia's book, she does have a pattern in the back for the shape of this feather, but because I only had this size of felt, I decided to make my own pattern. I used a pencil to roughly draw the shape that I want to create. So there's a rounded end and a slightly pointed end. I cut that out. And since I'm using my own pattern, I need to find my own measurements. So measure the longest point from the middle of the feather down to the end. Mine measured 11 inches, so I'm doubling that and cutting a 22-inch piece of the macrame cord. You could also take your macrame cord, put one end at the bottom, and then loop it around to get double the height. So now it reaches from the top to the bottom. Now I'm going to measure across at the widest point, which seems to be 6 inches. So I'm going to double that and take it to 12 inches, so a foot. In her pattern, she cuts 40 pieces. However, she does have a longer middle cord. So I am just going to cut 30 and see if that works. I'm using my previously cut strings to cut them faster. Now I'm going to take my long cord, fold it in half, and at the top I'm going to do a slip knot. This will be the top of the piece near the rounded edge. I'm going to take one of my smaller lengths, fold it in half, put the loop on one side, pull the ends to the loop, and pull it off to the side it was facing before I picked up the ends. This is a lark knot. It looks different on both sides, so just make sure you have the same kind of knot on each side if you want it to look a certain way. So again, we fold it in half, we bring the ends through the loop, and it is now attached to the middle cord. As you travel down, you are alternating which side the ends will face, and make sure to tighten and push towards the top. So there are 4 pieces alternating, and you can see the differences in the knots on the front and the back. So now I have gotten to a point where I think I am done. So I'm just shaping it to see if it looks correct, and I think that is going to work with my pattern. So now I am going to finish off the middle cord, get my comb ready for the next part. So I'm going to take those 2 ends of the middle cord and tie them off just like we did the top. And now I'm going to use the comb to try to pull apart the fibers of the cord. I'm also adding an additional piece at the bottom since there was some space. And now I'm going to brush. I've cut this down for time, and I was using a brush or a comb that had the smallest bristles I could find. It would be better if you had a bristled brush or something that could help to fluff and to flare those pieces together. Another thing I learned when I started to place this onto the backing is that I got a white piece of felt for a yellow creation. Make sure to buy felt that matches the color of the cord you're using. This way it's easier to hide it in the final piece. So now I'm going to take my fabric glue and put it on the back of my piece, making sure that the spine of our creation has the desired knots facing out. So I'm going to put some glue just down those knots. And then I'm also going to put some lines of glue down. And I would do long lines down from the top to the bottom so it catches the bristles. I'm using my comb to softly adjust, and also my fingers to adjust the threads on top and to push them into the glue that is on the white felt. I'm going to use a little bit of fabric glue on these corner pieces. And then the last thing I'm going to do is take some fabric scissors and shape my piece. So this is going to get rid of the edges and bring everything together. This also helps since I have the white felt peeking from behind the yellow feather. I can take away some of that extra felt. Making a few adjustments, and we are looking good. Okay friends, and there we have it. We have our macrame feather. That was a fun learning process. I got to look at the pattern that Mia has in her book and be able to make it into a smaller size, but using her directions. I think this looks lovely. One thing I would do differently next time, and that she did in her book, is make sure I have a piece of felt that matches the color of my piece here. I did have to trim some of the white that was peeking over the corners, but otherwise it looks wonderful. What I also like about this is when you're doing the lark heads knot, you can decide if you want this side or the other side, and that way you can kind of make it your own in that way. You could also change the colors that you're putting on here. And I'm actually very curious if this would work with yarn. So maybe if we put yarn, it would take a lot more. Maybe we can make smaller leaves or feathers or something similar. Another thing this is going to tie into is that we have our summer reading program going on right now. And the theme this year is Tales, T-A-L-E-S, and Tails, T-A-I-L-S. And so I wanted to make this to encourage everybody to sign up for the summer reading program. Just make sure to go to yclibrary.org/SLC. That stands for Summer Learning Challenge, and you can sign up yourself and the whole family. So what are you waiting for? Go over there, register. We're starting the challenge soon, and shake your tail feather to some of our wonderful, lovely events going on. There's more information on that page about that. And there are going to be storytellers and puppets. There's going to be exotic pets. There's going to be something for everyone. So check it out. And this brings us to the end of our video today, friends. I hope you are staying safe, you're staying cool, and as always, remember to stay creative, York County.